Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to come on to this evening and talk a little bit about anger. It's something that has been. Good evening, everybody. I'm not sure if it started already, but I just wanted to come on tonight and talk a little bit about anger. It's something that has been coming up for both Lisa and I. And when I spoke with a few of my friends, they said they were having the same experience where they were just having a lot of irritation and different um, emotions kind of rise up. So even while I was up at the cabin, I was building a bird feeder, and by time I had finished it, I was exhausted, and I was expecting that Lisa was going to help me clean up some of the tools. And when she didn't, I got extremely angry, more angry than I would normally get. And but what I noticed at the end of that is that I I noticed that I was angry, but then my mind got engaged, and I started having this massive commentary with myself about what I was feeling and what I was experiencing, and why didn't I keep that under wraps. So when I was able to kind of stand back and look at it, a few things came to mind, and as I've been talking to a few different friends, other thoughts have come to mind about anger and I guess emotions in general, because a lot of the things that you would apply to anger, you could apply to other emotions. So a great deal of what I'm gonna about to say, you can transfer this to other emotions as well. So I think one of the most important parts is that we need to distinguish between an emotion and ourselves. Because quite often, when I'm in the midst of an emotion, I'm not distinguishing between myself in that emotion. I'm just sort of getting caught up in that experience of the emotion. Now we do experience the emotions in our body, but our emotions and who we are completely different things. And I think I've said this before, to reduce ourselves to be just an emotion is really diminishing uh, the grandness of who and what we really are. So I think it's important to, as an experience of an emotion comes up, is when we learn how to pull back from it just a little bit and recognize that this emotion is coming up, but this is not me per se. It's an experience. After I do this live video, I promised Lisa I was going to take her for ice cream. And we're going to experience having ice cream, but the experience doesn't make up who I am. And so that goes hand in hand with our emotions. The experience of our emotions don't really make up who we are. And if, for me in my past, anger was always a kind of a go-to emotion that I would sit in and chew on all the time. And so nowadays, if I feel my anger coming up, it's very easy for me to, have a dialogue in my mind like, oh, I'm slipping, or but in reality, I'm not. It's normal to have a whole range of emotions, and emotions themselves are not a problem. Anger is not a problem. It's what we do with it. And so that kind of goes to, the quote that I put up earlier on Facebook. I said I was going to come on and talk about anger. I said anger is a call to action to move beyond our limitations. So it's anger is I said it's a call to action because it's when I see the energy or the emotion of anger coming up, I see that it's information. Now, when I made that post earlier, a friend of mine, Mel, she put a beautiful comment, and she talked all about just that in her comment. If you didn't read the comment, go back to my Facebook wall and see the post I made early this morning, and Mel made a great comment about how our emotion or the anger is just information for us to look at. It's somebody may be infringing on our morals, or somebody or something may be infringing on our morals or ethics or values. It's telling us something isn't right, but it's also telling us, at times that there's something that we need to heal or we need to look at. So when these emotions come up in us, I think it's important that we do just that. We pull back just a little bit and say, why am I angry? Why am I feeling? Why is this feeling coming to me? What information does this emotion have for me? Now, it's been, uh, like Mel said, it's been a great tool for her to heal. And I know that I've had the similar experience where my emotions have really taught me where I needed healing and where I needed growth. When I couldn't differentiate between myself and my emotions, and then as soon as the emotion came up and I threw the label on it and I wore that emotion, I wasn't really learning from it. It wasn't really giving me any information. What it really just caused me to do is to look outside of myself. I would, if something made me angry, I would look outside of myself, and I would look for what it is. What is it that's making me angry outside of me? But when we make that change to looking at an emotion as information, we can actually turn that inward and say, why is this coming up for me? Is there something in my environment? Is there something that kind of stimulated me to not feel well, or to stimulate in my anger? Now, when I look at the energy or behind anger, anger's not such a bad thing, because sometimes it's needed in certain situations. We we can use anger to move us out of a situation very quickly, or if somebody's attacking our loved one, anger is appropriate. Or if your child runs out on the road, you may feel that flush of anger, and it's a moving energy. Whereas when you look at sadness and depression, those two emotions are more of an emotion that immobilizes us. It freezes us and causes us not to be able to move. And sometimes it keeps us stuck. So if there's something that you've been sad about, and then the next thing you know, you're starting to get angry about it, it may be a good sign. It may be a sign that you're ready to move. And if you're experiencing a lot of anger, I think it's a good time to look at how fulfilling and how purposeful your life is. I made a call this morning to a friend of mine in Italy, Sassy. I did a live feed with him a couple months ago, and I was asking Sassy to, share with me your thoughts about anger. I was going to come on tonight and do this post, and one of the things he had said to me is that he doesn't really have a lot of anger these days, but when he was living a life that really wasn't that purposeful for him. He used to be a police detective in Italy, but when he was living that life, it was like a life that didn't fit for him. It was like wearing a shoe that didn't fit for him, but he kept walking in it and walking in it. And sometimes our irritation and our frustration is by us not fulfilling ourselves the way that we really need to. And when I look back at my most angry times, I could say the same thing. I felt angry a lot because I wasn't fulfilling myself. I wasn't actually digging into why am I here and what is my purpose in this world. One of the things that Sassy shared with me, and this is such a gem, he talked about this African tribe, and I cued him on, which tribe it was, but he said he couldn't remember. But there's a tribe in Africa, and they refer to our body as cargo, which is kind of an interesting concept. And throughout our life, we have to deliver our cargo. So that's the same thing as really saying that, we have this vehicle that we're in is has a purpose. There's a reason why we're here, and we need to deliver that purpose throughout our life. And they this African tribe says when you're not delivering your cargo, it can be a source of frustration. You notice when people are angry, they say when some of their tribe mates are angry that they need to deliver more cargo. So it's kind of an interesting concept, and in for me to get on live feed and talk about this is me delivering my cargo when my clients come in for tattoo work. That's me again delivering my cargo. So if you find that your life in general you're feeling irritated or frustrated with, how much cargo have you dropped off lately? How much of your, and when I say purpose, it doesn't have to be massive things like big grandiose things that you're doing. It could be very small minute things, serving the world and sharing your cargo with everyone you meet, sharing your purpose. Sometimes just sharing a smile is you dropping off your cargo. And I think the last point that I wanted to make is my experience, and this has been my experience for a while now, and it's when there's a lot of collective energy going on. So if there's a lot of collective fighting in the world or controversy, and especially this coronavirus, we're at the tail end of it, but we're still kind of moving through the effects of what has gone on. And I think we're going to continue to move through some of these effects. There's a collective energy that builds, and I know that like two weeks before coronavirus hit, I was extremely tired. I was extremely exhausted. I just had no energy for anything. And then the virus hit. And then there was a stage, like I say, it was about maybe 3 weeks ago. I went through this stage of anger, and that's when all the riots were happening. So I think it's important too that when certain things, emotions rise up in us, sometimes they may not even be ours. It may be the collective consciousness. There's a string that goes from me to you and you to the next person. We're all connected in this world. And that's the importance of the work that I do outside of tattooing is I'm constantly trying to build community and create a deeper connection with people, create a connection that's one of love and respect and harmony. But these are the reasons why I do it. The better I feel, the better you feel. The better you feel, the better I feel. But when there's mass dysfunction or mass hysteria in the world, I think we feel that more than we may be conscious of. So there's times when our emotions are giving us information, but it may not be information that we need to turn in and reflect on ourselves so much as it's information about what's going on with the world around you. Like walking into a room and you feel, if two people just got in an argument, you can feel that. You can feel all that energy in that room between the people. So when there's thousands of people in conflict, uh, why wouldn't we feel that emotion? So by going right back to the beginning of this video, by learning how to distinguish or differentiate ourselves and our emotions, we learn how to pull back from it and just look at that. if there's a lot of turmoil in the world and we're feeling, agitated and irritable, it may not be our irritation that we're dealing with. It could be just the consciousness happening in the world. I hope this helps, and I just want to let everybody know I love and respect you all, and I hope and pray that everybody finds some peace in their life. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.